Joe Biden used his public office to enrich his family. That is a crime. Grassley's office has received whistleblower complaints from within the FBI. Those complaints reveal efforts to, quote, improperly discredit negative Hunter Biden information as disinformation, thereby causing, quote, investigative activity to cease. So call it Russian disinformation, end the investigation into whatever Hunter Biden did. In the words of Chuck Grassley, quote, the allegations provided to my office appear to indicate that there was a scheme in place among certain FBI officials to undermine derogatory information connected to Hunter Biden by falsely suggesting it was disinformation. In other words, not only did they not consider charging the president's son, they actively lied to the public about the nature of his crimes. And to some extent, we saw this play out in public. 50 former intelligence officials at the highest level, Jim Clapper, Mike Hayden, John Brennan, Michael Morrell, Andy Lightman, all claimed in public, in a publicly circulated letter, that Hunter Biden's laptop was, quote, Russian disinformation. It wasn't. It was entirely real. They knew it was real. Not one of them has apologized. Not one of the 50 has apologized for lying on the eve of a presidential election about facts that might have influenced voters to vote differently from the way they voted. They interfered, those 50 intel officials interfered in our democracy. They've never been held accountable. They've never even acknowledged what they did. That was happening in public. But in private, according to Chuck Grassley's office, one senior FBI official ordered a Hunter Biden probe closed, quote, without providing a valid reason as required by FBI guidelines. Just shut it down. It's the president's son. We want this guy to win. Don't hassle his boy. In another case, officials improperly hid damaging information about Hunter Biden in a subfolder that almost nobody at the FBI could find. Ultimately, the FBI appears to have abandoned the case. Most of the media has ignored it from the first day or lied about it. But the New York Post has stayed on this story, and so has this network, Fox. That's not because we're interested in Hunter Biden's personal life, which was unusually creepy. It's because the documents on his laptop contain evidence that the President of the United States, Joe Biden, sold political influence to our number one geopolitical rival, a country that considers us its main enemy, and that would be China. Joe Biden used his public office to enrich his family. That is a crime. It's a crime by statute, and it's certainly a moral crime. Now, publicly, Joe Biden has denied this repeatedly. He said he knew nothing about what his son was doing overseas. Here's Biden in 2019.
Mr. Vice President, how many times have you ever spoken to your son about his overseas business dealings?
I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business. I have never discussed with my son or my brother or anyone else anything having to do with their businesses, period.
That was a lie. Provably so. That was a flat-out lie. You know that because we played you the voicemail of Joe Biden telling Hunter that he's, quote, in the clear after a New York Times piece on his business dealings with China. Hunter Biden accompanied his father, the sitting vice president of the United States, on trips to China and met with communist officials. So that's a lie. We've shown you the picture of Joe Biden golfing with Hunter Biden's business partners. Most damning is that we have firsthand testimony from one of those partners. His name is Tony Bobulinski. We sat with him for an hour in October of 2020. He told us that Joe Biden stood to gain tens of millions of dollars from a business deal with the Chinese energy company CEFC. The emails on the laptop, Bobulinski said, identified Joe Biden as, quote, the big guy.